looking ahead, what is shaping up on the political landscape. The big day is today as far as the housing levy is concerned. The president is bound to be assenting to that particular bill, and that will become law. That also we know at the end of this month there will be no deduction of the housing levy. It has been such a catnip issue in the country as far as taxation is concerned, and we eagerly wait to see how that will pan out today. Also, the anti-corruption bill is on the table. We saw them appearing before, that is some of the lobbyists and the civil society appearing before the National Legislative Committee at the National Assembly, I should say. And of course, they're broaching this issue on how that particular bill is retrogressive. This particular bill is being steamrolled by Geoffrey Ruku, who will be joining us momentarily. He is a member of Bere North. Also be joined this morning by Dr. Makali Muli, who is a member of Parliament for Kitui Central. We'll be joined as well by Danson Mungatana, who is a member of Parliament or a senator of Tana River. We shall continue pace with that conversation much later in the course of the program. But for now, let's see how the weather will be today. All right, this is what you're waking up to on the front page of The Standard today. KRA news tightens on Hustler. On Hustlers, that is the splash this morning. New platform moved by KRA to expand the tax bracket has reached the small and micro businesses. Border riders, merchants, matatu operators, among others, will now have to comply and pay up or risk losing customers who need ITIMS receipt to file taxes. We have a story on page 6 and 7. 98% SMEs constitute 98% of businesses in the country and have an annual job creation of 30%. Why Kindiki now? Once AP is given back old roles is another story that might interest you. Interior Ministry documents indicate the rise in lawlessness and exposure of government property to thieves in the result of the merger between the General Police and Administration Police. It recommends the APs be given back their old duties. This story is well laid out for you on page 4 of The Standard today. Even in garbage, women have no space, peace as well. This is a report. Women working in waste management are vulnerable to discrimination and exploitation and have reported bullying and sexual harassment. The story continues on page 17 of The Standard today. Government buries history in all city estate demolitions, houses that have served the nation with a rich history, including lives of prominent leaders, to pave way for affordable housing project. The special report is put on page 8 of The Standard today. Also remember, you have your Health and Science magazine. Erectile problems broken down, all that is tucked away inside the Health and Science magazine. Also saved by My Son's Sacrifice. Read all about it on how this man, his son, saved his life by donating his kidney. Last week we were observing the World Kidney Day, and also that is an interesting story that you want to follow, knowing the plight of many that are suffering, especially from kidney failure and the cost of dialysis. Looking at the teaser on top inside Kalonzo's Mount Kenya charm offensive is another story that might interest you as well on page 10. Relief on Tinubu's Niger U-turn. That is a story that you want to follow on 21 of the Standard today. Diaspora fuels economy as inflows grows. And that story continues on page 19 of the Standard. School games renew old rivalries, all tucked away on page 31 and 32 of the Standard this morning. The Daily Nation is looking like this today, and this is what you're waking up to. Murders that shook Kibaki's presidency, extrajudicial killings. The duo had been warned against abating the activities of Mongiki's sect. That is what the flag is reading here. Questions: who are the hitmen who had trailed the two human rights activists and shot them dead? As you can see, that is Oscar Kamau Kingara, Oscar Foundation boss, and also George Paul Oulu, Oscar Foundation advocacy officer. And the questions also abound. On whose behest were they acting? What was the motive for the mafia-style murders? And why has the government failed to investigate, apprehend, and prosecute those behind the killings? It is 15 years since that tense Thursday on March the 5th, 2009, when human rights activists Oscar Kingara and Paul Oulu were executed mafia-style. Around 6 p.m. on Robi's State House Road, the killings, apart from drawing international condemnation, will split the Grand Coalition government of President Mwai Kibaki and Prime Minister Raila Odinga down in the middle. But many questions still remain unanswered, and you can read all about it on page 6 and 7 and 8 of the Daily Nation today. Housing levy set for return as Ruto was sent to bill today. That might want to interest you as well. 1.5% of an employee's gross salary that will be deducted to go into the housing levy. Employers will also match this amount. You have a story on page 2 of the Daily Nation. Kawira, why I have kept off Igembe. Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza has revealed that she has kept off the Igembe region for the past 3 months due to threats on her life. You have a story on page 3 of the Daily Nation. Also on State Jobs MP's bit retreat on capping of CS's post. This is a U-turn. Remember, they had actually suggested that what should happen right now is the 22 posts that were there previously should be maintained. But now they've given the president a free latitude to choose whatever number he wants, despite the fact that this was pronounced as unconstitutional by the courts. MPs have beaten a hasty retreat on the recommendations capping the number of chief administrative secretaries and instead have given President Ruto the leeway to appoint as many of them as possible after reconsidering, that is in quotes, a proposed bill. They have a story on page 5 of the Daily Nation carrying this story, and this is how it looks. Make sure you grab a copy if it really floats your boat. The Star is up next. Ndindi Nyoro copies Ruto in early 2027 race. It says here, new move could rattle DP Gachagua after the youthful MP was endorsed by Murang'a leaders. And you have a story on page 4 and 5 of the Star today. Expanding base, KRA MP has toured more than 20 counties over the last 3 months alone. New moves, it says, as I mentioned, that it could rattle DP Gachagua. You have a story on page 4 and 5 of the Star. Work and pray. Ruto launches project before worship session. You can see him here. It's being dubbed Christian Walk Tourism's CS Alfred Mutua, Narok Governor Patrick Olen Tutu, President William Ruto and First Lady Rachel Ruto arrive for an interdenominational church service in Enosayen, Kilgoris, Narok County. You have a story on page 2 of the Star this morning. All right, looking on top here, more grandchildren now want audit in battle for former president's wealth. That story on page 6 of the Star today. All right. This is today's publication of the People Daily. It's do or die, talks to avert doctor strike. Health in an effort, that is all about health, in an effort to forestall catastrophic crisis, CS Nahumicha says issues raised by medics, including posting of interns, were beyond her ministry and invites involvement of more stakeholders such as counties. You have a story on page 4. Our strike commenced on March 14th and will only end when our demands are met. Union Deputy Secretary General has pronounced this, and you can follow the story inside this down page 4. We hope there is a meeting that is slated for today. We hope we will see some good light at the end of the tunnel. The making of a bloated government. MPs remove limitation on the number of individuals the president can appoint as Chief Administrative Secretary. Leave alone the 50. Now there's no cap to it. You can follow the story on page 6 of the People Daily. Hotels in Naivasha record high bookings ahead of Safari Rally. That is on page 3 of the People Daily. Auditor queries 19.5 billion shillings legal fees at lands, and how family feud sacked DG Monda. Kisii Deputy Governor found guilty of attempting to give bribe to water farm boss to skew job hiring. That is what is on page 8 of the People Daily. Hataki kubahatisha. This is a splash on the front page of Taifa Leo. Raila abuni mikakati kabambe ya kuhakikisha anaupata wadhifa wa tume wa AU and agawa Afrika katika mapande, shabaha ya kwanza ikiwa kuhakikisha mataifa yote ya Afrika Mashariki yanamuunga mkono kabla ya kuelekea kwingineko barani kwa kampeni kali. You have a story on page 2 of Taifa Leo. And also Tanzania, maombolezo mwanahabari study akifariki. NMG na Tanzania ya wanahabari ya Jama Jonzi baada ya mhariri maarufu kufariki. This is Rita Tinina. We shall be running, of course, that story by you. And all the media fraternity stands in solidarity with the family, with our deepest condolences and, of course, our sincere sympathy. That story is on page 2 of Taifa Leo today. Chelsea na Man City ndani Nebora. You can follow the story on page 20 of Taifa Leo. Let's buckle down to some business where Kenya's most expensive, cheapest loans revealed as a SBM Kingdom top list of costliest personal loans. Premier Bank, cheapest for loans repaid over 1 to 5 years. And you can see it's been broken down for you. Most expensive with 1 to 5 years tenure. That is leading is SBM at 19%, I&M 18.8, CDN 18.3, ABSA 17.7, HFC 17.7, and Credit Bank as well stands on the same slate of 17.7. SBM and Kingdom Bank were the most expensive in personal loans. Least expensive with 1 to 5 year tenure, Premier Bank at 9%, EcoBank at 9.8%, Access Bank 11.3%, DTB, right, 11.4%, and also we have Kingdom Bank 11.4% as well. The rest of the details is tucked away on page 2, and how Heineken lost chances as preferential buy of Qual. All that story, you have all the greater details on page 2 of the Business Daily today. And registered agents face arrest in war on tax evading landlords. The Estate Agents Registration Board has threatened to arrest and prosecute property agents practicing without permits in an ongoing campaign to net more taxes for the real estate sector. USA's IFC covering up sex scandal in Kenya schools. The US government has claimed that the International Finance Corporation tried to cover up reports of child sex abuse at Kenya's Bridge International Academy's moment after investigations against the low-cost private school chain began. And Unilever enters maize milling in revenue diversification plan. All that also is inside the Business Daily today. Let's cross over to Tanzania, how Tanzania can benefit from its population boom. Academics and economists have argued the government to invest more in education and equip their youth with skills that will enable them to employ themselves and enhance their employability. That story continues inside The Citizen. On page 2, 140 million, that is a World Bank projects that Tanzania population driven by high fertility rates could more than double to 140 million by 2050. Also, the rise of green gold. Tanzania's avocado exports have soared from 17.711 tons worth $51 million in 2020-2021 to 26.826 tons, valued at $77 million in 2022-2023, according to official statistics. The story continues on page 3. That is the avocado boom. You can read all about it inside the Citizen this morning. Samia's impact on sports development is another story on page 4. Allow me to cross over now to Rwanda. Women's impact on Rwanda's healthcare, closing gender gap as well, is the splash. More than 58.6% of employees in health centers in the country are women. That is a story to follow on page 4 and 5 of the New Times. Eastern Province persons with disabilities call for inclusiveness. That is another story there. All right, let me try and look at the Daily Monitor and show you what is happening in Uganda, where it seems to have escaped me or eluded me. That is East African. Beg your pardon. That is East African. Kagame to his party. Give me a successor. Enough is enough, says the veteran leader as he goes for 4th term, even as ruling party shows no interest in replacing him. We have a story on page 4 and 5 of the East African. And also East Africa's big 3 out to save integration agenda. And that is Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni presents a framed image of a newspaper report on the reformation of EACC. He and Kenya's William Ruto met with their Tanzania peer, Samia Suluhu Hassan, in Zanzibar, where they recommitted to support regional integration. And eyes on the region's court as Mathuki now digs in. Lawyers challenge EAC boss recall. Uganda's Mabirizi goes to Arusha to stop the bidding of a story on page 6. And the L6 open skies for ease of travel and trade. MPs want EAC declared common airspace for all airlines licensed by partner states. Allow me to cough a bit. Excuse me. That story continues on page 3 of the East African this week. And this is today's editorial cartoon inside the Standard. It's all about media, taxes, the legislature going with all that baggyman or money bags, and the courts as well. I'll leave it for you to decipher. This is what Gams is drawn inside the Standard today. And also, that spat continues. The call on strike and minimum agreement. These are the balls that are being juggled right now between the government and Kenya Medical Practitioners Union. You have a story. We'll run it by you momentarily. And also, anti-corruption bill. This is also another story that we'll be following. This is what Ozone has drawn inside the Star this morning. And Star No. It's all about jobs and the applications of the jobs as well. I'm Honorable Waziri Muhesh. Forget about your CV, experience, or a job application letter. I've hired you as the chief accountant and my personal assistant. And you can see legal procedure of hiring is thrown into the trash bin. Many Kenyans who've been applying for these jobs are disregarded. And of course, this has been the debate as well last week regarding the irregular, of course, job hiring that has been happening within government. And I'll leave it for you to decipher that as well. This is what is in the dailies today. I shall be running you by other international publications as well much later in the course of the program. But for now, I just want to unveil our guests who are here with us already. We have with us Dr. Makale Muli, who is Member of Parliament for Kitui Central. Also, we are joined by Danson Mungatana, who is the Senator for Tana River, eagerly waiting to be joined by Geoffrey Ruku, who is Member of Parliament for Mbeere North, and Hilary Sigei, also, who is the Senator for Bomet. Right, good morning.
Hi.
Makale, how are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Ba.
Yes. Yes. You can tell us and give us greetings from Kitui Central.
From Kitui.
Yes, and hope you came with also some good mangoes.
This time there are no mangoes, my brother.
Yeah?
This time it's just mango season.
Is that the mango season? I thought it will begin from January. It runs until...
It's between December and February.
Okay.
But I was in Kitui, not only in Kitui Central, I was also in Kitui South. It's becoming a bit warmer now. So actually, the temperatures are getting quite high. When you're there, you have to be in a t-shirt or a short sleeve t-shirt. But Kitui is good. So It's good to see you, Dibao.
Thank you.
And I want to say Paul to the media team for losing your friend. Rita, Nati? What?
Tinina.
Tinina.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember at one point, I think it was the 2017 elections, she covered us in Kitui. And she was quite a good person, so be close to the country, be close to the media fraternity. And we condole with the family and send our severe sympathies to them. And we continue praying for the daughter who has been left behind. But all said and done, well, you know, that is the end game for every one of us, unless Jesus comes when we are still alive. So we need to prepare for death. But Kitui is good. So we also lost some good, very great sons of the soil whom we buried this Saturday. One of them was a former councillor who served one of the regions very well, and who was also a member of our party. And the other one was among the pioneer educationists, called Mzee Katua, whom we buried on Saturday. He was a former provincial director of education. These are the guys who were the first students at Alliance High School. So when you look at those who says you salute them, because those were the days somebody to manage to go to Alliance, very good grades, and you serve the country all the way from a teacher to the highest level, you can imagine. So we also buried another pastor who was also sick for a long time. And the worry for me, for that family, is because they are huge hospital bills which were left behind. Actually, I think they have committed some of the property and even the car. So medical bills are becoming an issue of concern. But I can tell you for sure, anytime I interact with people who have been in hospital for long, either on cancer issues or prolonged illness, it keeps on triggering in my mind whether we need to have a structure where we can actually have the medical bills kind of capped.
Right.
Because some of the medical bills families are getting are actually making the families poor. You know, you sell all the property, at the end of the day you lose the patient, and then the family remains with empty-handed. They have nothing. But all said and done, we are here. We can see as usual politics, a lot of things. But
we shall look into it.
Good to be here.
Right, let's hear from Honorable Delson Mungatana. Good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning, thank you.
And welcome back to Kenya.
Yes, Dibal, you know I'm the head of delegation for the Kenya delegation to the Pan-African Parliament. So we had finance committee meetings. So we're doing well, and then I came and went back home. But just briefly, looking at the numbers, we have said many times that Kenya is taking the right direction when it comes to business. The decisions this government has been making have been good. So at the continental level, we are doing 164 billion surplus in terms of trade. We have increased our trade in terms of Kenya with Africa by 22.99% for this year that ended in 2023. The figures are showing we are taking a very good turn. Our trade with Uganda, Tanzania, our East African region has increased, but the biggest leap was with DRC Congo. DRC Congo has just joined the East African community, and we have done a 44.8% increase in terms of trade surplus with DRC Congo. So I think Kenya is taking the correct directions. Coming back home, Tana River is also having its own challenges. We still have a problem with the governor, because the governor now has decided that the members of the county assembly should not be getting the usual bursaries. And that has has become a very big problem, because these people are supporting the people who are actually on the ground in terms of the school fees and so on. So when that has been cut, we've had this tussle with the governor. We think that is not a very progressive step that he has taken. In our county, a lot of money is returned, and it is returned because of silly, back and forth like that. Then the budgetary cycle gets finished, and the money has to go back to Treasury instead of spending the money within the county. So we have had that challenge, but yeah, we saw our people, and we came back to Nairobi. Our sessions are still on, so we should be leaving for Pan-African Parliament today evening. So we're doing well. I think, God willing, this nation has taken on the right tangent. And we believe that our country is going to be a shining star in this continent and outside this continent. So that's what I can say for now.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Of course, we want to begin with where Honorable Bokali started, and that is the demise of a renowned journalist, Rita Tinina, who has passed on. She reportedly died Sunday at her home in Kileleshwa, Nairobi. Kilimani OCPD Amos Ndiwa confirmed the news, although the cause of her death is still unclear. Until her death, she was working at the Nation Media Group. Grace Nganga starts us off.
Kenyans mourn the death of veteran journalist Rita Tinina, who was Sunday afternoon found dead at her Kileleshwa home, but there was no immediate confirmation on the cause of her death. It's said that concerns rose about her after failing to show up at her workplace, where she was expected to produce Sunday's lunchtime bulletin, prompting her colleagues to trace her whereabouts, as it was unusual for her not to show up at work. It's then said, following unsuccessful attempts to reach the mother of one by her managers, they sent a team to go check on her, only to receive the sad news. Kilimani OCPD Mos Nthiwa confirmed her demise, although the cause of death is yet to be identified, with police commencing investigations. Also confirming the news is Nation Group's editorial director, Joe Ageo, who told his staff, and I quote, "Team, this morning we received the sad news that our colleague Rita Tinina had passed away in her house. She was expected to be in the office today, but did not show up. The information we have so far is that she was fine all of yesterday, but unfortunately was found unresponsive this morning. The family has requested privacy at this difficult time. This is indeed a tragic development, and I request us to be calm as we wait more information." End of quote. Her body was moved to Umash Funeral Home in Nairobi. She has been in the media for over a decade, starting from NTV before she moved to KTN, delivering news in her own unique style.
After 93 days of grandstanding, doctors may have lost the battle for better pay. With a seemingly lost cause, it will be time for a reality check for the doctors as the president and county governments play hardball. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
She worked for Standard Group's KTN for 6 years before she moved to NTV in October 2023. Most who got an opportunity to work with Rita describe her as a humble, talented journalist who most often let her work speak for her.
Since this dog bar, the only one of its kind in the world, was opened in the year 2009, hundreds of dogs have had one for the road. Or is it the dog pound? Dog owners part with 2.89 euros or an equivalent of 335 Kenya shillings to have their dogs enjoy one beer. The candy is on the house.
Nairobi woman Rep Esther Pasari said, and I quote, "Saddened to hear about the passing of Rita Tinina, whose voice resonated across Kenya. Her professionalism and dedication to journalism will be greatly missed. sending my deepest condolences to her family, her friends, and the media fraternity. End of quote. Her body was moved to Umash Funeral Home as the family embarks on burial preparations. From the Standard Media Group fraternity, we will miss you, Rita Tinina. Grace Nganga, KTN News.
Indeed, we'll miss Rita Tinina, a very humble, self-effacing lady. I remember also my days when I started as a rookie, a journalist at Nation Media Group. Rita Tinina was a very, very, encouraging and also really affirming sometimes when you have that imposter syndrome, as many will say. And Rita Tinina was there to just guide you and encourage you and tell you, hey, you can do it, you can make it. And it's very, very unfortunate that we've lost her in a prime of her career. I don't know if Danson Mungetana, you want also just to remember her and you remember some of her stories as well?
Yes. Rita has been around, so we have worked with her on our side, because on the political space, you always interact with colleagues on the other side of the fourth estate. So I remember her as a person who was dedicated to her work. When we had these press conferences or some big stories, she would be there and on time and deliver with precision. So I just want to say pole sana to the family and pray that the girl that has been left will grow up and fit into the big shoes that her mom has left. We wish them well and the family, and may God rest her soul in eternal peace.
Indeed. Rita Tinina is survived by her daughter, who is a seven-year-old daughter. And may the good Lord rest her soul in eternal peace. And you had from that particular a story where she was also reporting about the doctor's strike. Still, that is a niggling worry in this country, where the Ministry of Health also has scheduled a meeting with the Doctors' Union, KMPDU, or today, to unlock the current stalemate that caused a nationwide strike, which entered its fourth day on Sunday. The doctors, through their union, KMPDU, have vowed to continue with the strike until their demands are met. The nationwide strike started on Thursday, 14th of March. The union is expected to meet key health government stakeholders this week to mitigate the situation. Husna Mohammed has more.
Doctors have vowed to continue their nationwide strike initiated on Thursday, disregarding a court order that temporarily halted it. The decision came after the Doctors' National Advisory Council, NAC, convened on Friday, March 15th, and unanimously agreed to continue the strike, denouncing the court order issued on Wednesday as unfair. The Doctors' Union, KMPDU, are to meet key government health stakeholders to deliberate on the ongoing doctor strike.
It is high time, President of the Republic of Kenya, wakati umefika aingilia haya maneno ya afya. Otherwise, the state of health in this country is going to deteriorate, is going to collapse. And that is not what we want. We do not want Kenyans to be exploited in private healthcare facilities.
The Employment and Labour Relations Court on Wednesday, 13th March, issued an order stopping the strike hours before the lapse of a 7-day notice the union had issued, though the doctors maintained they will only call off the strike after their key demands are fully addressed.
Madaktari wanagoma. Kwa nini madaktari wanagoma? Madaktari wanagoma katika nchi yetu ya Kenya because most of the county government in the Republic of Kenya are not taking seriously these key functions which they have been given by the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya.
The court on Friday extended orders suspending the doctor strike to allow for negotiations and agreements on essential services that should continue in the event of a strike. As the push and pull between the Ministry of Health, counties and doctors continue, patients across the country have continued to bear the brunt of the strike.
Watu wanaumia, wagonjwa wanaumia, na wamama wako wajawazito wako tu pale wenye wanaenda operation. Kuna mwingine alikuwa ameanza tu operation, sasa hana otherwise.
Mgomo wa madaktari uweze kusitishwa, kwa sababu mgomo unapoendelea wamama tunaumia sana, kwa sababu wamama ndio tunakaa na watoto, na wanapoumia pia sisi tunasikia uchungu.
Husna Mohammed, KTN News, Nairobi.
President William Ruto will today assent to the Affordable Housing Bill. This is after Parliament passed the legislation that will anchor the affordable housing program. The law will pave way for the government to resume deductions from employees to fund their affordable housing projects. President William Ruto, who attended the interdenominational prayers in Kilgoris, Narok County, reiterated the key role the affordable housing project will play in creating job opportunities. At the same time, President said the government has steered the country away from the debt crisis that has slowed economic growth and stalled key development projects.
Kwa wimbo moja tu tusifu Bwana
ambaye Mungu mwenyewe.
Tuandike hawa watoto. Tukiangalia hapa wote ni wachanga, wote ni wachanga. Na mimi husema sisi tutakuja na tutaondoka. Serikali itakuja na itaondoka. Ile kitu itabaki ni ardhi na jamii. Nataka wakati hizi serikali zote zimeenda na sisi tumetoka, pia hao vijana ambaye ndio wengi wapate pia kusimama kidete.
Sisi kama Narok tumetumia hiyo subsidized fertilizer. Hapa Kilgoris tuko na depot hapa Kilgoris ambayo inaletwa subsidized fertilizer. Hao wangwana wanapata hapa na wanashukuru sana.
The effects of climate change 90%, 95 is because of our own actions. Kwa hivyo tuweze, let's turn around. Let's do justice for our environment.
Hivi sasa ni wakati wa maendeleo, sio wakati wa siasa. Ni wakati wa kuchapa kazi. Ni wakati wa kuonyesha wananchi walitupigia nini kura, ni kwa sababu gani kile tulisema tunawaahidi tufanye kazi.
Taifa letu ni taifa ambayo imebarikiwa. Taifa ambayo iko na uwezo mkubwa. Wafanyikazi wa taifa la Kenya wanatambulika duniani kote. Watu wa Kenya ni watu wa bidii. Na tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba bidii yetu, uaminifu wetu, utendakazi wetu inatupatia manufaa na taifa letu tuweze kwenda mbele kwa pamoja.
And Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has warned unnamed leaders in the South Rift region for using President William Ruto's functions to settle their political scores. He asked the leaders to focus on the development agenda instead of political rivalry. Deputy Gachagua also exuded confidence in reviving the ailing economy, as Elvis Koske now reports.
Speaking during a church service in Kapsabet in the county of Nandi, the second in command said that President William Ruto's development functions should not be used to solve political differences among local leaders.
Anybody from this region and our backyard, pahali sisi tulipigiwa kura 100%, we want total respect for President William Ruto. Na mikutano yake hawezi kuwa vile niliona jana. Sasa niliangalia TV jana. Ile maneno yote mzuri rais alifanya hakuna. Si mliona TV jana? Ile naoneshwa ni vita na kelele. Ile mazuri yote ilikuwa imetulete imepotea. Let us be very, very careful. Very careful. Msioneshe Wakenya wengine kama hamuna haja na kiti ambayo mlipewa.
Zoea namna hiyo, Your Excellency, pole kwa sababu wewe unawekwa kwa katikati ya hii maneno. Jana tulikuwa kwingine, wengine wanafanya kelele, lakini najua kwa uongozi wako utanyorosha hii watu wakuje pamoja.
We are working as county governments together with national governments on the many development agenda. Any part that needs to be played by county government in every development program in Nandi County, we are working together with you.
Tumeunga mkono ya AU, aombe kiti ya AU, awache kutusumbua ati 2020 na akisimama pia 27 atanyorosha na hawa ndume kama kawaida, lakini tunataka angangane.
That aside, the deputy president said Ruto's hard work had made the Kenya Kwanza government to revive the economy.
Tumeanza kuona matunda ya hiyo bidii ameweka. Bolea tukiingia ilikuwa shilingi 7,000. Sasa ni 2,500. Akina mama wale 70 years and above walikuwa miezi 10 hawajalipwa. Tukiongea wanalipwa kabla ya tarehe 30 kila mwezi. Unga tukiingia ilikuwa shilingi 240. Imeteremuka 130, 135, 120.
Kwa sababu saizi mbolea ni 2500. Baada ya kupanda mahindi, kupata chakula na kupata chai na kupata kahawa, kama wenye tunakaa kule sehemu ya chini Tindret, tunapata dola nyingi. And that is why the economy has come down, because the government has factored in proper factors of production.
Experiencing in the Republic of Kenya, where the economy of the country has built up within the history time of less than 1.5 years. Now the prices have come down of our exchange rate, meaning our shilling has grown, our economy is building up for the first time.
National government administrators across the country and all the MDAs, they are on the alert and they have started working. And we can see the fruits of their work on the ground, because now we are getting a sober country.
The DP also visited Kapsabet boys to condole with the institution after 2 people died and several others injured in a road accident.
The bus that has been written off, and I want to give a commitment on behalf of President William Ruto. I'll talk to him later in a day, and I'm sure there is no doubt that the president will give you another bus to replace that one.
Elvis Kosgei, KT News, Nandi County.
Our Kenya party has begun its membership registration drive with hopes of clinching the top seats come 2027. NARC Kenya leader say it is Martha Karua's turn to clinch the top seat and take Raila's position as he eyes AUC leadership. Building Walewala has more.
In Isiolo County, as the registration of NARC Kenya members was going on, the leaders called on the residents to back Martha Karua's candidacy come 2027, saying she'll be the best bet.
President wetu atakuwa NARC Kenya 2027 kwa sababu Raila anaenda kwa hiyo kiti kingine ya juu, yani kubwa kuliko hata ya president ya Kenya. Na kwa hivyo tutaunga mkono Martha Karua juu chini mpaka aweze kupata hiyo kiti. Na pia kama vile mnauliza kama ametoka kwa muungano ya nini Azimio anjatoka.
NARC Kenya leaders in Isiolo say the grassroots registration going on is for 2027 preparation as they hope to replace Raila Odinga as the leader of Azimio One Kenya as he aspires to take over AUC leadership.
Patia rasilimali ya kutosha kila mtu, lakini ile kitu ambayo imekosa ni uongozi bora. Tumeanza safari ya hiyo ya kutafuta uongozi bora ambao tunafikiria kilele yake itakuwa mwaka wa 2027. Ndio tuko hapa kujaribu kutayarisha ground.
Also, those eyeing Azimio top spot include Kalonzo Musyoka, who has declared interest to vie for the presidential seat in the next election. This development follows the AU Executive Council's unanimous decision to allocate the opportunity for candidates from East Africa region to vie for the AU Commission's top position.
The decision that was taken was that in accordance with the alphabetical order, the East African region will now have the opportunity to offer its candidate for the chair of the African Union Commission.
Building Waliaula, KT News.
And lastly, for a few months now, Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya has been on an all-out war against the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, accusing him of poor leadership in the Western region. Although Wetangula has stayed clear of responding to the allegations, his foot soldiers in Bungoma County have told of Natembeya as one being used to divide the Mulembe nation by reversing the gains made in uniting the restive region. KTN's political affairs reporter Emmanuel Toll has more.
Ati wako na papa ya Roma huko. Watu wanapata wanafanya watu waluya tunakuwa watu wa brand of jokes everywhere.
It has been his pet subject for weeks now. Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya has literally walked the talk in his mission to tear into the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, whom he has accused of lacking the wherewithal to lead the Mulembe nation into greater political heights.
Sasa ati mimi nikisema papa ya Roma ameingiza watu yetu kwa mtambo kwa umaskini, iko watu wanakuja waniambia kwamba nisiongee. Wale hawa jamaa kama wangekuwa kina Muliro wakati huo, sisi tungepata independence kweli?
Although he has not directly responded to Natembeya, his foot soldiers in Bungoma County have told off the first-term governor.
Natembeya is behaving the way he's behaving because he's having a good time, one of his own kind, with the gods of the coup, of the failed coup plotters. And I think it's only a matter of time. He is not different. He will follow the same destruction path, the path that the coup plotters, led by Wycliffe Wangamati.
Mambo ya kutukana party leader, mambo ya kutukana chama cha Ford Kenya, ikome kuanzia leo. Ikome kuanzia leo. Kama ujue, utapata cha mtema kuni.
The legislators now want the DAP Kenya governor to cease the attacks on their party leader.
Completely inconsequential. You cannot be consulted on anything.
May I believe in the poem of Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel called The Sound of Silence. I will believe in the sound of silence.
Na leo pia nimeeleza ndugu yangu Bwana Natembeya ya kwamba hatungependa kuona siasa ya kupigana na siasa ya matusi.
The latest developments now threaten the unity of the region, with reports indicating Wetangula and the Prime Cabinet Secretary and CS for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Musalia Mudavadi are jostling to be the region's kingpin.
Badala sisi kupigana sisi kwa sisi, tupigania watu wetu. And that is the brand of politics, the late Wamaga Kijana practice, and the late Masinde Muliro practice.
Wetangula was elected Speaker of the National Assembly a few years ago. And for us to crystallize, or rather evaluate, how he has used that position to benefit the people from our backyard, is that we will do it by 2027.
Wetangula is said to have increased his trips to the western region as he seeks to rally the region behind him. Emmanuel Cho, KTN News, Nairobi.
All right, on that particular note, we want to take a short break. When we circle back, of course, we'll look at those stories, beginning with the doctor's strike. What is the way forward? Will we have any happy medium today where we understand the CS is meeting the KMPNU, that is the Kenya Medical Practitioners Dentist Union. Stripping off my tongue, not very sincerely true as it sounds. But we take a short break. When we circle back, we shall look at that. And remember also, today is when the president assents to the housing levy bill. And that has been a debate. It comes to an end after the ascension to it by the president. And also the anti-corruption bill that is being steamrolled by Geoffrey Ruku as well. We shall be looking at that. What is the way forward? And a raft of other issues, as you've seen in that particular story, what is the issue or at issue as far as Azimio is concerned, with now Martha Karua also throwing a hat in the ring as far as 2027 is concerned, and also what is happening in the western region with Natembeya now breaking away from, of course, the flow, as it were, of the non-leaders that we've seen there, the quest for new kingship as far as Muleme Nation is concerned. We'll take a short break.